The origins of Vantastic go back to the independent living movement in the early 90s in Dublin, where there was a lack of accessible transport for people with disabilities and mobility difficulties. The independent living movement set about setting up an accessible transport service that they could use themselves to allow them to live an independent lifestyle, to engage in society at large, allowing them to go shopping, allowing them to work, allowing them to socialise and to access education facilities. The key role of Vantastic really is to provide this independent solution to transport for people, to make their lives accessible. We see ourselves as a part of the overall picture. We're not the solution, but we're that little part that takes down this barrier that doesn't allow you to engage in society. So by being there to provide people with transport, we can allow them to go to work, we can allow them to go to education, we can allow them to go out with friends and to socialise with family, etc. We would provide in the region about 12,000 passenger trips per month. That works out at around 140, 150,000 passenger trips per year. As you can imagine, that's very difficult to fund. Whereas people do pay a contribution towards using the service, it doesn't cover the full costs. We also would get some state funding, but on top of that, it's very important for the likes of Vantastic and other organisations like us to engage with the corporate society, really, to assist us in delivering what we feel needs to be delivered. Without the likes of corporate social responsibility and that goodwill on the behalf of the corporates and their willingness to engage with us, some of our services would be restricted and we wouldn't be able to deliver the kinds of services that we want to be able to deliver to people. We operate at 35 vans on the road, Monday to Friday. We're on a reduced service on a Saturday and Sunday. The reality is we operate 7 days a week though, and we operate 52 weeks a year, 53 when there is a 53-week year. The logistics behind that is that you have quite a high workforce in relation to it. So we would have in excess of 50 staff working in the organisation. Part of those staff, the majority of that staff, in fact 80%, are frontline, as we would see it. They are the people delivering the service on the ground to the people. In the background, we would have additional staff who would be office-based, who would be taking the bookings from people, organising, coordinating that bookings, and then we would have a small operations department that ensure the vehicles stay on the road all the time. In relation to our corporate social responsibility partnership with Bluebird, we're delighted with it. It's fantastic for us. It allows us to stay on the road and keep operating. Literally allows us to keep the wheels turning. It's that simple. From our point of view, we think it's great that we can promote that we have this agreement, and as such, putting delivery on the back of the vans and showing that corporate social responsibility is a great way for us to let everybody know how this is working as a partnership. When you talk about the typical person who uses Vantastic and is a member of the Vantastic service, there's no typical person. Every person is slightly different. We like to look at it in that there's two key areas. There's people with disabilities who have mobility difficulties, and they can be people who may be wheelchair users, or they may be people who may have intellectual disabilities that would be restricting their ability to use public transport. The other area which we work a lot on, and it's sort of linked to the demographic change within the country, is that older people are becoming more and more isolated due to a lack of public transport that they can access due to their mobility difficulties. And because of that, we would say that the other key cohort of people that we provide services to are older people, predominantly over the age of 65, who have difficulty with mobility. Now, we put the age restriction of 65 on it. In reality, when we actually look at that, the majority of these people are 75 plus. Who are actually using the service, and they are people who public transport is no longer accessible for them. They find it too difficult, whether it be the fact that they can't afford to use a taxi, or the fact that getting on and off a bus is just no longer feasible. We would be using accessible lifts in the back of the vehicles to assist them to get in and out where they wouldn't be able to get up and down steps, etc., etc. They need the assistance of a driver to hold their arm to help them to board and on board. If I had a magic wand and there was no obstacles, I think that the likes of the transport service that Vantastic provides is a core part of an overall transport picture for Ireland. We have an older population. We have a population that has increased mobility difficulties, whether it's living in an urban or a rural environment. These people need transport. They need to be provided with assistance to allow them to live in their own homes. We feel that we're a key part of fulfilling that picture. If I had a magic wand, I would ensure there was Vantastic available to everybody who needed it.